Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs, and I wanted to discuss my undo function in this drawing program because I think that would be possibly of interest to those of you programming. So what I've done is I've created a change tracking module, and the module has a structure of the row and column, and it's got a track of what was this tile. Okay, and this is the tile change. So it's got a two-tiered structure of drawing event. What something was drawn, what was the event, what was the drawing that was done, and then it's got a collection or list, which is really a list of affected tiles, which is tile change, and says this row and column changed from this information. So we track whether the cell is blocked or not blocked. We track what was the image type that was in there. And then we also track the sheet and sheet image of the source of the image type. And so that's the biggies. It also has a init function, a dispose, and then the only real thing it's got is an affected tile procedure. Init and dispose are just standard things. The affected tile is a one sentence call to create or add tiles to that collection. So if you've created a change tracking draw event object, you can then just pass what the from was of the from and column sheet and the pieces of information, and this guy will go ahead and update that record for you. So that's the mechanics behind the scene. To look at the map grid, and I know I've explained this on numerous videos on the mapping especially, you have a map object, and then whether it's hex, flat top, or pointy top, or whether it's a square grid, it doesn't matter. It has a grid collection. So each individual cell has a record that says, I am row ID this, column ID that, I belong to this map layer. You can find my graphic at sheet ID, image ID, and then also we're tracking the image type, which image, basically, because that's a spreadsheet. And it needs to know, is it image ID 0 or 12 or 15, and then whether it's blocked, okay? So in the code, we instantiate that as a grid array of by row and column. That way, this is a global array of that object, that class or record in that collection, that I can now come in and say, create a pointer of grid hex, and then let him equal the map grid array row and column. And now instantly I have access to the data of what is there. Okay, so what we're doing in this track for real is this is where we do the lookup and the building of the graphics and whatnot. This is all stored in a map. And that's, oh goodness, yeah, I just noticed that naming structure. Map grid array is not our map or our dictionary. The dynamic map image is our dictionary that keeps track of the unique records of a image type. So if 25 cells have the same tile, I keep one tile in the dictionary and everybody just references that one tile. Okay, So I've done a video, I believe, on that aspect. So this is the video for the tracking of change control. So what we do is we can look up what it currently is, and if you're changing it for real, no, I have actually in there a variable because as you pull the slider and draw the line or whatever, it's fake until you let the mouse key up, right? So we can undo those. I'm not saving those anywhere. Only if it's for real, you've let the mouse up, mouse left click is up, then we actually set it to real. And what we do is we take what is in there now and compare it to what it is you're trying to change it to. And if any of those are different, we go ahead and create this change tracking and we call the affected cell and we pass it the tile. Okay, pass it the information of what he was. And then I change the grid hex. That's a pointer, so I'm changing the real class. I'm changing him to the new values. So I've tracked the old values and I have the new values. So all is good. So that's the basic gist of it. And then in let's see where I am on the sheet. Way up here, when we say undo, and that's in here somewhere, stop, quit, clear, create, open, save, undo, here it is. When you click undo, he comes in. The interrupt flag is for if you're in the middle of playing the graphic where it's showing the different uh, frames for that particular tile. This will suspend that because this will destroy that. What we do is we get the last element of track changes. Okay, so this is we're getting the last record of him. That's the only thing you can undo. You can't undo. You'd have to undo 3 of them to get to the 4th one back, right? So uh, we go ahead and grab him, and then we start drawing to our what will eventually be our map. And then we say, okay, for X to the affected tiles, and then I go ahead and undo what the changes. I'm setting all the changes back to what they were. And then I look at the actual item up. I do the calculation of what's the current hex size versus what it was back then. If I'm going to write something to the grid, I always have to look up what is its current hex size. And then we go ahead and write it all out and draw it to our guy. And when we get done with all the records, we stop drawing, we delete the change tracking record, and then we go draw the map, and then we resume the interrupt. Okay? So it's actually very straightforward. One other thing to show you would be on the not tile would be, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Nope, that's not it. Where's the game map canvas? On the left click of the game canvas. Okay. That is where we actually create our new drawing event. Okay. When you left click the canvas, I create a drawing event expecting to use it. Because if you're left clicking the map, that means you're placing something on there, you're doing something. And so up here, we're making sure you have selected and drawing and all that crap. But here's where we actually instantiate that. We call a function and it returns a pointer to this change tracking records. So then he's the global that we then just add records to. So that is how change tracking works. Thanks a lot.